Sean.
I do what I can.
First of all, before we get started, I just want to thank some people. Did y'all enjoy that paella tonight? I want to say a big thanks to Chef Paul and Becky for putting all that together. There he is. There's Paul. Excellent, Paul. Thank you so much. I also want to thank Coastal Beverage. They provided our keg out there. There's Jimmy. And then I would like to thank Dave and Jim Camel for providing the wine and all the soda and water. And then special thanks to my helpers. Sean's put a lot of work into bringing this together. And Bob and Lisa were here tonight helping set up and everything, so I want to thank them. And then also my three beautiful helpers at the front, Krista Catmull, Amy Wiggins, and Lindsay, for getting the job done up front. So thank you everybody for that. So also the businesses that have come out and helped us with the donations, Naples on the Run, Naples Cycling, Trek Bicycles, Addicted to Fitness, who else? The Everblades, Balavanasa Yoga, and what else we got?
Naples on the Run.
Naples on the Run. I think
Cafe Le Chocolate.
Mark Russell.
Chocolate.
Mark Russell, yes.
Don't forget the chocolate.
And yes, Norman Love.
Norman Love.
Chocolate.
You notice the chocolate's not in the bag. Why is it?
We noticed that.
What's the reason for that, Bob? So we thank all those folks for participating and donating for this great event. So Sam Hazewinkel, as you know, qualified for the Olympics back in April. And I think he's got kind of a great story to go along with it. And so that's what I'm going to talk about here tonight. To kind of get an idea of where Sam came from, where we came from growing up, you need to maybe know a little bit about my dad, which I have a very old school picture of him here. Dad grew up, he and his twin brother Jim were very small in high school. They couldn't play any sports because they were too small. They only weighed about 95 pounds. And the wrestling coach came and told them, hey, why don't you come and try out for wrestling? And they're like, you can compete against guys your size. And they didn't know anybody else. They didn't know it was possible for somebody else to be their size because they were so small. But they ended up going out for wrestling, and in 1968, both of them made the Olympic team. And here is a picture of both of them. This is my dad here. This is Uncle Jim. And that's in 1968 when they made the Olympic team. And here is a picture of the whole team itself. And from 1968 to 1972, they made the Olympic team in 72 as well. They made every world team in between, or 71, or 69, 70, and 71 as well. And in 69, my dad placed silver in the World Games, and he was actually the first American to place silver in wrestling in the history of the U.S. So that was pretty neat. So moving to 1972. You're not tired.
They probably have to pay that money.
I know you do, Sean. I know you've got a tie. This was their outfit before opening ceremonies in 1972.
No worries.
I think it's killer. That's the 1972 Olympic team. So And that's after the 72 Olympics. They both retired from wrestling, and they've been coaching wrestling ever since. All age groups, elementary, junior high, high school, and college. And still today, they coach together a military school up in Marion, Alabama. And even as recent as last year, they're still producing national championships at 67 years old. So
Wow.
Awesome.
they've still got it. So, but enough about Dad. We're here to talk about Sam, and just wanted to give you a little background on where Sam came from. There's 4 boys that my dad has. Me and Sam, we got 2 other brothers, and all 4 of us grew up wrestling. And Sam's actually the only one that took it past high school. But he was pretty amazing in high school. He wrestled down here in Florida, well, actually Pensacola, but in the state of Florida. And he went 140-0 in his high school career. So undefeated. So yeah.
What was his number on the team?
Number on the team?
I'm joking.
Sean?
No microphone, no talking.
So yeah, he had several scholarship opportunities. Once he finished an undefeated season there in high school, he ended up going to the University of Oklahoma and got a full-ride scholarship there. And wrestling for Oklahoma, he was a 4-time All-American, which what that means is he placed in the NCAA Division I Nationals every year that he wrestled for Oklahoma. So, pretty impressive, but at the same time, kind of disappointing because he was never a national champion in college. His freshman, sophomore, and junior year, he always found a hiccup there in semifinals, and he lost in semifinals all 3 years, and wrestled back to take 3rd. And so he got 3rd all 3 of those years. His senior year, his last opportunity to become a national champion, he finally won in semifinals and moved down to the finals, but unfortunately lost to a kid that he had beat just 2 weeks prior. So it was kind of unfortunate, especially because it was only by just a couple of points. So that was kind of disappointing for him. At the same time, he was wrestling for the University of Oklahoma. When it was the off season, he would wrestle Greco-Roman and do several tournaments, around the nation and around the world, and ended up going out for the 2004 Olympic trials. And he ended up taking 3rd at the Olympic trials, and which is good for his first attempt. We're all proud of him. Obviously, we wanted to see him make the Olympics, but we knew it would happen someday, so that was all right. He tried out again in 2008 and made it to the finals and lost by just a point in the finals. And unfortunately, in the Olympic trials, if you don't take first, you don't make the team. So, he was considered an alternate. If the first place guy got sick or injured, whatever, he would be able to jump on the team. But got real close to Beijing, but just missed it. So, at that point, he had taken a lot of 2nds and 3rds in a lot of these major tournaments he had wrestled in. And so he was getting kind of discouraged, and after 2008, he decided to change it up and switch from Greco-Roman to freestyle wrestling. And basically the difference there is Greco-Roman is all upper body wrestling. You can't touch the legs to score. In freestyle you can. And so switched it up and started out slow, 2009, 2010, but really broke open in 2011 at the U.S. Nationals or the U.S. Open, and he went on to finally get a championship and win the 2011 U.S. Open. So we were all excited about that. We were hoping that freestyle was really the way for him to go, and he was going to be able to excel from there. Well, 2 months after that was the 2011 World Team Trials, and And so his next opportunity to try to make the world team, which before in Greco, he would get close again, always coming up third or second, and never really getting lucky enough to make that spot. So he did make it to the finals, and unfortunately he got beat by Nick Simmons, who he'll also face in the 2012 Olympic team trials. But it was a close match. Sam won it was best out of 3 periods. Sam won the first period. The last couple seconds of the second period, Sam tossed him and got the points, but they said the time had already run out. And so they gave the second round to Simmons, and then Simmons won the third round and went on to the World Games. And so Sam missed out on that one, and once again was kind of bumped again, but kept his head up. He suffered a hand issue that summer and had torn some ligaments and had to have surgery. And so he had to step out of wrestling for about 8 weeks while that healed. And I always wonder if maybe that was the the breaking point to his success, because after he came back from there, 2 weeks after he was released to wrestle again, he did a dual meet up in Canada and won that. Pretty much destroyed the kid, so he was looking great again. A month later, they went over and did another dual meet in Russia, and he was one of the only Americans to win at his weight class in that dual meet. So it was looking up. He was starting to win again, and he was getting his confidence back up, and so we were all getting excited again. So then January came around, January 2012, he wrestled at a Cuba tournament. I forget the name of the tournament, but it's supposed to be the largest, the most popular tournament down there in Cuba every year. And Sam made it to the finals there, but got beat by the Cuban. And so, unfortunately, but you know what? He kept his head up. He wrestled in the Pan Am Games a month later and met that same Cuban in the semifinals. Sorry, Carlos. He's probably your nephew. He came back and beat that same Cuban in semifinals at the Pan Am Games, and then faced Canadian again in finals and beat him, and won for the first time his first Pan Am Games there in February 2012. And so that was actually the first time he had won a Pan Am Games. He had done a couple of other in the years past, and again taken third and second. So it was finally good to see him break through at that tournament. So that was his last tournament before April of this year, and that was when he went on to the Olympic trials. And there was just something about that tournament, just before it even started, just talking to him, he was feeling really good, really confident, and I could just kind of tell it was going to be a great tournament for him.
You can't start to cry yet. You have to put it off just a few more minutes.
I'm trying to hold back. The Olympic trials is obviously just U.S. wrestlers, but it's the elite. So it's all the best in the whole nation. Well, he goes out in his first match and he pins the first kid, and that's almost unheard of in a tournament of this caliber. And so he was on fire. He was doing great, and he won the second match, won the third match, both of those with no problems, and found himself in the finals for the Olympic trials. So on the other side of the bracket was Nick Simmons, who beat him last year at the World Team Trials, and he was facing the 2008 Olympic gold medalist for the Beijing Olympics. And so Sam had to face the winner of that. So Nick Simmons came through and beat the 2008 gold medalist, and his name was Henry Cejudo. If any of you know him, he retired after he lost that match and is no longer wrestling anymore. But Henry went on, or Nick Simmons went on to beat Henry and made it to the finals, and we found ourselves with a rematch of last year's World Team Trials finals. So